In the middle of World War II, the United States Army created a secret unit unlike anything the Germans expected. They had tanks, they had artillery, they had radio operators, they had soldiers moving through the countryside, but almost none of it was real. The tanks were inflatable, the radio traffic was fake, the sounds of engines and thousands of soldiers were recordings. Some of the men were pretending to be generals they weren't. Their mission was simple: make the German army believe an American force existed where it didn't. They were called the Ghost Army, and for months they turned deception into a weapon. The story began in 1944 as the Allies pushed inland after D-Day and faced a serious problem. German reconnaissance and intelligence were watching every troop movement, trying to predict the next Allied strike. So the Americans came up with an unusual solution. Instead of just hiding their real forces, they'd invent fake ones. On January 20th, 1944, the Army activated the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, roughly 1,100 men recruited not for combat skill, but for backgrounds in art, engineering, radio, and design. Artists, actors, and sound technicians. Together, they were about to manufacture an army that didn't exist. Their first trick was almost ridiculous: inflatable rubber replicas of American tanks, convincing enough from a distance or from the air to fool German reconnaissance into believing an armored division was massing for attack. In reality, a handful of men might be standing beside a few rubber shells. But the Germans didn't need to inspect them closely. They only needed to believe long enough to shift thousands of real troops away from where the Allies actually planned to strike. Before we go further, if this kind of true story pulls you in, hit subscribe so you catch the next one. Now, fake tanks alone weren't enough. A German commander might simply ask, "Where are the soldiers?" So the Ghost Army built entire phantom scenes, fake artillery, fake camps, and most importantly, sound. They recorded real tank engines, trucks, and marching troops, then blasted the recordings for miles through enormous speakers mounted on trucks. The Germans weren't just seeing an army anymore, they were hearing one. Then came another layer entirely: radio. Operators studied real American units' communication patterns, then transmitted fake messages designed to confirm what German reconnaissance was already reporting. Fake tanks, fake camps, fake radio traffic, real sounds. Every piece supported the same lie. The Ghost Army wasn't relying on one trick. It was constructing an entire false reality, one convincing detail at a time. The strangest layer of all involved the soldiers themselves. Some were trained to impersonate entirely different American units, wearing false insignia, driving through towns under the wrong markings, even posing as senior officers discussing operations that didn't exist. To a German intelligence officer piecing together tanks, engine sounds, radio traffic, and now soldiers and officers all confirming each other, everything seemed to check out. But the entire picture was manufactured. The Ghost Army wasn't hiding the truth. It was handing the enemy a convincing replacement for it. Their first real missions, beginning shortly after D-Day, were genuinely dangerous. These men often worked close to actual German forces, racing to build a convincing illusion and vanish before anyone got close enough to see rubber instead of steel. One mistake, a low-flying aircraft, an unconvincing transmission, a careless slip, could expose everything at once. The Ghost Army survived by making the illusion hold up from every possible angle, every single time. Over the following months, the unit ran more than 20 deception operations across Europe, sometimes drawing German attention one direction while real troops moved another, sometimes making a small American force look massive, sometimes simply buying confusion long enough for someone else to move safely. Their weapons weren't bullets, they were sound, appearance, and psychology, which made them almost impossible to fight back against. How do you attack an army when you're not even certain it exists? When the war ended, the men of the Ghost Army simply went home and were largely forbidden from telling anyone what they actually done. For decades, the story stayed classified, the public never knowing an American unit had spent the war building phantom armies out of rubber, speakers, and imagination. It wasn't until the 1990s that the secrecy finally lifted, revealing that what sounded almost absurd had been a serious, deliberate piece of psychological warfare all along. The Ghost Army never destroyed a German force with firepower. They did something stranger. They made the German army fight an enemy that wasn't there. Around 1,100 Americans, using inflatable tanks, recorded sound, fake radio traffic, and careful impersonation, built the illusion of entire military divisions. And they didn't need to fool everyone, only the right people, for just long enough. If this one surprised you, subscribe and share it with someone who loves a good World War II story. Sometimes the most powerful weapon on a battlefield isn't a tank, a bomb, or a gun. Sometimes it's simply the ability to make your enemy believe a lie. The Ghost Army vanished after the war, but the Phantom Army they built behind them remains one of the strangest true stories of World War II.